come in gently. You made it to the end of the day. If you sat down to pray and nothing came, if you got as far as His name and then had nothing left to say, you are not far from God. You are only spent. You can close your eyes now. Nothing here will ask you for words. There are no breaks in this reading. If tonight all you have is a sigh, let that be the prayer. If you want to leave one word below, let it be Amen. Let me pray, since you do not have to. Father, here is one of yours who has run all the way out. You have never asked us to be eloquent. Take the sigh that was all this heart could manage tonight and receive it as the prayer it is. Loosen the hands, quiet the body. Do the resting in this one. There's nothing in here left to do it with. Amen. So let the first words tonight be His, not yours. He said, "Come." Matthew, the 11th chapter. "Come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you, and learn of me, for I am meek and lowly in heart, and ye shall find rest unto your souls. For my yoke is easy, and my burden is light." Notice what He did not say. He did not say, "Come, all ye that have finished." He did not say, "Come, all ye that have it together, that prayed this morning and will pray again tonight with clean and steady hands." He said labor. He said heavy laden. He was talking about you before you were born. And He was talking about tonight, this exact night, this exact tiredness, the one you are almost embarrassed to bring in here with you. You have been carrying something. Maybe you could name it if someone asked you directly. A worry, a body that will not cooperate the way it used to, a house too quiet or too loud, a year that has taken more than it gave back. Maybe you could not name it even if you tried, and that not knowing is its own kind of tired, the kind that has no single cause to point at and so feels harder to set down because you cannot even explain to yourself what it is you are so worn out from. Either way, notice that He is not asking you to sort that out first, to identify the load before He will help you carry it. He is not asking you to set it down somewhere else. Arrange it into neat categories. Pray about it properly, and then come. He is asking you to bring it exactly as it is, exactly as heavy and as formless as it still is tonight, straight to Him, unsorted. There's often an instinct, when we finally do turn to prayer after a long silence, to want to explain first, to account for the gap, to apologize for how long it has been since the last real conversation before getting to the actual asking. That instinct is understandable, and it is not required here. He did not say, "Come," once you have explained the silence. He simply said, "Come," the same single word He would have said on the first night you ever prayed and on this one, with no accounting required in between. A yoke is not a small thing to promise a tired person. A yoke is for pulling, for real weight, for the kind of work that leaves an animal's shoulders raw by the end of a long day. And yet, He calls His yoke easy, and He calls His burden light. And the reason is simple enough to say slowly, twice if you need to hear it, twice. He does not hand you a yoke and step back to watch how you manage. He is meek and lowly in heart, which means he gets underneath the beam with you, 2 shoulders under the same weight. Not your shoulder alone with his blessing attached to it. His shoulder actually there, actually taking the larger share, so that what reaches you is only ever the light end of something heavy. The weight tonight is real. Nobody here is asking you to pretend it is not, or to feel it less than you do, or to be further along in getting over it than you actually are. But you were never meant to carry it by yourself, not for one single day of your life. And tonight, for these few hours while you listen, and then while you sleep, you do not have to carry it at all. Someone else has already taken the far heavier end. Rest unto your souls, not rest for your schedule only, though your schedule needs it too. Not rest for your body only, though that matters, and it is coming, hour by hour, as this reading continues. Rest for the soul, the part of you that has been keeping watch even when your eyes were closed, the part that has been rehearsing tomorrow's difficult conversations and replaying yesterday's regrets long after the lights went out, the part that never quite believes it is allowed to stop. That part gets invited too, by name, tonight. Come, all of you. Even the part that forgot how to stop. Even the part that has been standing guard for so long it no longer remembers what it was guarding against. It is allowed to come off duty now. Nobody is going to blame it for finally resting. For I am meek and lowly in heart. This is worth pausing on, because it is easy to hear an invitation to rest and quietly assume the one offering it must be very far above the tiredness itself, untouched by it, extending help from some comfortable distance. That is not what he says about himself here. Meek, lowly in heart. He describes his own posture not as a king dispensing favors from a throne, but as someone gentle enough, humble enough, to kneel down at the exact height of a tired person and meet them there, without making them climb up first to be helped. That changes what coming to him actually feels like. It is not an audience with someone important that you have to prepare yourself to approach correctly. It is closer to being met exactly where you already are, sitting or lying down, however undone you currently feel, by someone who chose lowliness on purpose, so that meeting you would never require you to rise to some occasion you do not have the strength for tonight. Maybe you are wondering quietly whether this invitation really includes you tonight, specifically, given everything you know about how the day actually went. It does. It was never written for the version of you that had a better day. It was written for the tired one, the one still awake at this hour, the one who almost did not press play on this at all, because even choosing something felt like too much effort. That is exactly who is being addressed, not a hypothetical weary person somewhere else. You, here, now, in whatever state you actually arrived in. Notice too that he chose the word labor before he ever mentioned rest, naming the difficulty plainly before offering the relief, rather than skipping straight to comfort as though the difficulty did not matter or had not been real. That order matters more than it might seem. It means your tiredness gets acknowledged first on its own terms before anything else is asked of it or promised to it. Nobody here is rushing past what today actually cost you to get to the encouraging part. There's no waiting room before this invitation, no threshold of having tried hard enough you first have to cross. Come is the whole instruction. Not come once you've prayed for 20 minutes without your mind wandering. Not come once you feel something that resembles faith. Come exactly as distracted, exactly as hollowed out, exactly as unable to finish a single clean thought as you are right now. He is not waiting for a better version of tonight to show up. He is here for this one. There is one more thing worth saying about this invitation before the reading moves on, because it matters more than it might first appear to. He said, "Learn of me," right alongside "Come unto me." And it would be easy to hear that as one more thing to accomplish, one more lesson to master on top of everything else tonight has already asked of you. It is not that. Learn of me here means simply, watch how I carry things. Watch how lightly I hold what would crush anyone else. That is the whole curriculum, and you are not required to take notes. You only have to keep listening while he demonstrates it, verse after verse, for the rest of this hour. He carries the day before you ever ask him to. You did not have to earn a single hour of it, and you do not have to review it now to make sure it was carried correctly. Blessed be the Lord, who daily loadeth us with benefits, even the God of our salvation. Daily, not on the days you remembered to be grateful for it, not only on the days that went the way you had hoped, when the plan held and the people were kind and the body cooperated. Daily, which by definition includes today, the day you are only now setting down, the one that maybe did not go well at all, the one that may have been the very thing that ran you this far into the ground. He was loading it with benefits the entire time, most of which you were too busy simply surviving the day to count, and some of which you may never know about at all. Quiet mercies that kept a worse thing from happening, a delay that turned out to be protection, a small kindness from a stranger that steadied you at exactly the right hour without either of you noticing why. Blessed be the Lord. The verse begins with praise before it ever gets to the benefits themselves, and that order matters. It is not, count your blessings, and then, if the count is high enough, decide he is worth blessing in return. It is blessing offered first, simply because of who he is, with the daily benefits following naturally as evidence, rather than as the reason for the praise in the first place. Tonight, you do not have to produce a long enough list of good things that happen today before you are allowed to feel grateful. The gratitude tonight can simply rest on who he is, regardless of how the accounting of today's specific mercies would actually turn out if you tried to tally it. Think for a moment, not to strain at it, only to let it surface gently about the most ordinary mercies that got you here to this hour, air that kept coming in and out without your effort, a body that, however tired, still carried you through the whole of today, every step of it, whether or not it felt strong while doing so. A roof over your head tonight, a bed you are about to lie down in. None of it announced itself as it happened. None of it required your attention to keep working. It was simply given, the way the sun simply rises whether or not anyone thanks it, the way breath simply comes and goes without your instruction daily, whether you were grateful enough or paid it any mind at all. This is what it means to be carried by someone who never mentions it, who never tallies the cost out loud, who simply keeps loading the day with benefits while you go about the business of getting through it. Notice this verse is a blessing spoken about God, not a request made to Him, a simple statement of what is already factually true, rather than a hope pending some future answer. There is something restful in praying this way for a change, not asking for anything more tonight, only agreeing out loud with what has already been given. You do not have to ask for today's benefits. You only have to notice gratefully that they already arrived. You did not feel His hand under the day because that is exactly how well it fits. The way a good foundation is never seen, only trusted, only later noticed by how little the house shook. A weary person does not need to be told, "Look how hard I worked to hold you up today," and receive congratulations for it. A weary person needs the holding to have already happened, quietly, without a bill attached, so that all that is left to do now is notice it was true and rest in the noticing. There is a peculiar kind of exhaustion that comes from believing everything depends on your own vigilance, that the moment you stop paying close attention, something will slip through the cracks you are guarding. Today, whatever else happened in it did not actually depend on your vigilance the way that fear insists it did. It depended on Him, the same as every other day of your life so far, and it turned out fine in the ways that mattered most, the ways you are still here, breathing, about to sleep, cared for enough to have made it to this exact hour. So, let today go, not with effort, only with permission, the way you would finally set down a bag you had forgotten you were still holding. It has already been carried further than you carried it yourself, and it will keep being carried long after you have fallen asleep and stopped thinking about it at all. Consider too the parts of today you would call failures if someone asked you to grade it. The sharp word you regret, the thing you meant to finish and did not, the prayer that would not come together. None of that erases the daily loading of benefits underneath it. A day can be loaded with mercy and still contain your worst moment in it. The two are not in competition. He was not waiting for a spotless day to bless before he would bless it. He blessed the actual one you had, mistakes included, the same way a parent still tucks in a child after a difficult evening, without keeping score at the bedside. So there is nothing left to review, no accounting to finish before you are allowed to close your eyes. The benefits were given regardless, daily, the way they always are, the way they will be again tomorrow, whether tomorrow goes better or worse than today did, even the God of our salvation. The verse does not stop at daily benefits, small kindnesses scattered through an ordinary day. It widens all the way out to salvation itself, the largest gift there is, carried by the same hand that carried today's smaller mercies. If He can be trusted with the whole of your life, the eternal shape of it, He can certainly be trusted with one difficult evening. The size of the promise underneath the small one is meant to steady you, not to distract you from how tired you are right now. There is a kind of strength that is only given to people who have run out of their own, and you may be closer to receiving it tonight than you have been in a long time. He giveth power to the faint, and to them that have no might, He increaseth strength. Even the youths shall faint and be weary, and the young men shall utterly fall. But they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. They shall run and not be weary, and they shall walk and not faint. Read that first line again, slowly, because it is easy to slide past what it actually says. He giveth power to the faint, not to the strong, who might be tempted to assume they earned whatever power came their way. To the faint. This verse is not describing an exception, some occasional special dispensation for the rare person who is too tired. It is describing the ordinary, everyday shape of how His strength actually arrives. It goes to empty hands, because empty hands turn out to be the only kind that can actually receive it, without spilling it, without mixing it with something of their own and diluting it. You may have spent tonight quietly believing that your tiredness disqualifies you somehow from being helped, that a person who prayed better, who managed their emotions more evenly, who had more left in reserve at the end of a long day, would be the one God actually reaches for first. It is the exact opposite of what this verse says. The youths shall faint. The young men at the very height of their natural strength, the ones you might envy for how much they seem to have left in the tank, shall utterly fall. Strength was never the qualification for receiving His help. It never has been. Weariness is not the wall standing between you and Him tonight. It is, strangely, the doorway He walks through most easily. Wings like eagles is a beautiful picture, and it is worth saying plainly that it is not for tonight. Tonight is not the mountain up. Tonight is the waiting, the part of the verse that comes first, the part this whole hour has been quietly built around from the very beginning. Waiting does not look dramatic. it does not look like flying at all. It looks like lying still in the dark, letting the day's weight finally settle out of your shoulders 1 degree at a time, trusting that whatever mounting up eventually comes is not yours to arrange, not yours to rush, not yours to even picture clearly right now. Your only work tonight is the waiting, and even that small work is being done for you quietly as you simply keep listening. You do not have to strain toward the eagle's wings. You only have to let the waiting happen, the way water waits to be still, without effort, simply by not being disturbed any further. There is a particular exhaustion that comes not from one hard day, but from a long accumulation of them, the kind where you cannot even point to a single cause anymore, only a general thinning, a sense that the reserves you used to be able to draw on have simply run dry. If that is closer to your experience of tonight than any single bad day would be, this verse was written with you especially in mind. He giveth power to the faint is not a promise limited to sudden, sharp exhaustion. It reaches all the way down into the slow, worn-thin kind too, the kind that has been building for months, the kind that does not have a clean story attached to it. They shall run and not be weary, and they shall walk and not faint. Notice the order runs backward from what you might expect. The more dramatic image of running placed first, and the plainer image of simply walking placed after it, as though walking without fainting was somehow the lesser promise. It is not lesser. For a genuinely exhausted person, walking without fainting is very often the larger miracle, the one that matters most on an ordinary hard day when running, was never really the ambition to begin with. If all tonight's promise amounts to, for you, is the strength to simply keep walking tomorrow, unremarkably, without collapsing, that is not a small answer to this prayer. It is the exact answer this verse was written to give. You do not need to explain to him how you got this tired, or defend the reasons, or apologize for taking this long to admit it. He already knows the whole of it, every contributing hour, and he is not waiting on the explanation before the strength is given. He is only waiting for you to stop pretending you have any left to spend. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. Hold that picture loosely tonight, the way you would hold a promise meant for a season further down the road than this exact evening. It is real, and it is coming, but it is not what tonight is asking of you. Tonight is only the waiting, the part of the verse that most easily gets skipped over on the way to the more exciting image, and yet it is the part doing the quiet work right now, underneath everything, while you lie here simply letting the waiting happen instead of fighting it. He calls sleep a gift, not a lapse, not a failure of discipline. He gives it to the people he loves, on purpose, the same way he gives every other good thing. It is vain for you to rise up early, to sit up late, to eat the bread of sorrows, for so he giveth his beloved sleep. Vain. That is the exact word the psalmist chose for all that early rising, all that staying up late, all that anxious bread eaten standing over the counter, while the mind keeps working a problem it cannot solve no matter how many more hours it is given. Vain does not mean sinful, and it is important to hear that clearly, because a tired person's mind will happily turn any correction into another reason for shame. Vain simply means it does not accomplish what you think it accomplishes. The extra hour you spent tonight lying awake, turning things over one more time, has not made you safer. It has not solved anything that daylight and a clear head could not have solved better. It has only made you more tired than you already were. There is often a hidden belief underneath the sitting up late, a quiet assumption that if you just stay alert long enough, think it through one more time, you might finally arrive at the solution that lets you rest with a clear conscience. It rarely works that way. Midnight thinking has a way of circling rather than resolving, retracing the same three worries in slightly different order without ever actually landing anywhere new. The clarity you are hoping to reach by staying up is far more often found on the other side of sleep than on the way toward it. And then, in the very same breath, without pausing to soften the rebuke first, the gift, He giveth His beloved sleep, not His most disciplined, not His most spiritually accomplished, the ones who finish every prayer list and never nod off during their devotions. His beloved, which is a word about relationship, not performance, a word that describes you whether tonight went well or not at all. If you have ever quietly believed that falling asleep instead of finishing your prayers, instead of solving the thing that keeps circling your mind at midnight, was a small, private failure, something to feel a little guilty about in the morning, hear this again slowly. He is not disappointed in you for growing tired. He built you on purpose with a body that grows tired. It was His design, not your weakness, and He calls the sleep that follows a gift, wrapped and given, specifically to someone He loves, which is you tonight, exactly as tired as you are. Consider too that sleep was written into creation itself from the very beginning, long before weariness or sin or hard seasons ever entered the picture, a rhythm built into the world on purpose by the same hand that later called it good. Rest was never the consolation prize handed out after the fall, some diminished substitute for the tireless energy we were originally meant to have. It was part of the original design, evening and morning both, darkness given its own honored place alongside the light. You are not falling short of some tireless ideal tonight by needing to sleep. You are simply living inside the rhythm you were made for. Perhaps you have measured yourself at some point against people who genuinely seem to need less sleep than you do, who rise early and stay sharp late and appear to run on some deeper reserve you were never issued. Comparisons like that rarely comfort anyone, and this verse was not written to fuel them. Your beloved is not a category you compete for a place in by needing less rest than someone else. It is simply what you already are, regardless of how your particular body was built or how much sleep it happens to require to function well. You do not have to earn this sleep by finishing every thought first. You do not have to sit up late proving your devotion to anyone, least of all to Him. The proving was never the point, and it was never required. Rest is not what is left over once the worthy things have all been finished. Rest tonight is itself the worthy thing. Maybe the plainest and most honest act of trust you will make all week, trusting that the world will keep turning, that your own unfinished list will still be there in the morning, exactly as unfinished as you left it, that the people you love will still be held by Him while you are unconscious and unable to hold anything at all yourself. That is not carelessness. That is what trust actually looks like when it stops being a word you say and becomes a thing your body does. Perhaps somewhere in your life you were taught, gently or otherwise, that a truly devoted person prays until the answer comes, stays up until the peace arrives, keeps working the problem inwards until something shifts. There is a place for wrestling in prayer. Scripture is honest about that too. But tonight is not that night, and this verse is not describing that kind of night. Tonight, the Psalms' counsel is the opposite of wrestling. It is laying the wrestling down on purpose as its own form of trust, and letting sleep do quietly what more words were not going to do anyway. He giveth His beloved sleep. Say that once more to yourself, slowly, the way you might repeat a kindness someone said about you that you were not quite ready to believe the first time. Beloved, sleep, given, not earned. Let those 3 words be the last thought you carry out of this movement and into the next. Notice too that the verse names 2 specific ways this weariness usually shows up: rising early and sitting up late, the 2 ends of a day stretched thin from both directions at once, leaving less and less rest in the middle, no matter how the hours are rearranged. If your particular exhaustion has come from stretching the day this way, trying to squeeze more out of both ends of it, the invitation tonight is simply to let the day return to its ordinary length. You do not have to reclaim the lost hours tonight by staying up later still. You only have to let the day be exactly as long as it actually was, no longer. To eat the bread of sorrows. That is a specific, ordinary image. Someone eating a meal while still turning over every worry from the day, tasting almost nothing of the food because the mind is elsewhere entirely, still working, still guarding, still refusing to set the day down even at the table. If that describes more of your evenings than you would like to admit, you are not being singled out for correction. You are simply being invited tonight to eat this hour differently, to let the reading itself be a meal with nothing anxious added to it. The rest was never something you had to walk far enough to reach. It travels with Him, and He is already exactly where you are. And He said, "My presence shall go with thee, and I will give thee rest." Notice the order of that sentence, because the order carries the whole comfort of it. My presence shall go with thee, and then, and I will give thee rest. The rest does not arrive after some distant finish line, after every burden has been sorted, every question finally answered, every ounce of effort you imagine is required has been spent. It arrives with Him. It is not the reward waiting at the far end of a long road you have not yet finished walking. It is what happens the moment He shows up beside you, which, if you are listening to this right now, in this exact room, has already happened. You are not required to travel anywhere tonight to find this rest. You did not have to fix the thing that is broken first, or resolve the conversation that went badly earlier this week, or finally understand why this season of your life has been as hard as it has been before the rest was allowed to reach you. His presence is not waiting patiently at the far end of your effort, watching to see whether you will earn your way there. It is here, in this ordinary room, in this ordinary dark, going with you exactly as promised, and the rest is simply what naturally happens, almost automatically, when someone that's steady sits down close beside a person that's tired. Presence first. Rest because of presence, not because you have finally done enough to deserve it. Nothing else has to happen first. Not tonight. Not ever, really. Though tonight is the night this matters most. There is a habit many tired people fall into without quite noticing, treating God's presence as something to be earned back after a lapse, a season of distraction, a stretch of days when prayer felt thin and distant. This verse does not describe presence that has to be re-earned. It describes presence that goes with a person continuously through the distracted seasons and the devoted ones alike, without ever actually leaving in the first place to require a return. Let His presence be enough for tonight, without requiring it to also fix anything else on your list. You do not have to feel a surge of peace to know it is true. You only have to let the promise stand there quietly beside you while you stop fighting to feel anything at all, and let sleep come the way it comes to anyone who is finally, safely unguarded. Notice too that the promise was not, "My presence shall go with thee," once the wilderness is behind you. It was given before the hardest part of that particular journey had even started, offered as company for the difficulty itself, rather than as a reward waiting on the far side of it. Whatever wilderness this season has actually been for you, the same offer stands, made not for after it ends, but for the very middle of it, tonight, wherever in the middle you currently happen to be standing. Presence is a quieter gift than most of us think we want, especially on a night when the problems feel large and specific, and a person might reasonably hope for a large and specific solution instead. But notice what was actually promised here to a people about to walk through a genuine wilderness with real dangers ahead of them. Not first a map, Not first, a guarantee that the road would be easy. My presence shall go with thee. That was the whole of it, and it was enough for them, and it is being offered to you tonight in exactly the same shape, before any of your specific questions have been answered, because presence was never meant to wait for the answers to arrive first. If your mind wants to argue that presence alone is not enough, that you need Him to also fix the thing, hear the promise again gently, without arguing back. Rest because of presence, not instead of every other hope you carry, only underneath all of them, holding the ground steady enough for you to finally lie down on it. The people this promise was first spoken to had left behind everything familiar and had not yet arrived anywhere they could call home. That is not a bad description of certain seasons of a tired life, the ones where the old ways of coping no longer work and the new ground has not steadied yet under your feet. If that is where you find yourself tonight, between what was and what is not yet clear, the promise still holds exactly the same shape it always has. My presence shall go with thee. Wherever this particular wilderness turns out to lead, it is worth noticing what He did not promise in this exchange. Alongside what He did not promise an easy path from here forward, an end to the wilderness by morning, a clear map of every turn still ahead. He promised presence and rest arising from that presence, and left the rest of the journey's shape unstated. That may feel like less than you wanted to hear tonight. If what you were hoping for was certainty about how this season resolves, but presence turns out, across a whole lifetime of people who have tested it, to be sturdier than certainty ever was, because certainty about the future can be taken from you by circumstances, while presence in the present moment cannot. From here, you are not asked to do anything else tonight, only to be led the way a tired animal is led, gently, by someone who already knows the way. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for His name's sake. Look closely at the verbs in that first half of the psalm, because none of them belong to you. He maketh, He leadeth, He restoreth. The sheep in this picture does not lie itself down through sheer force of will. It does not go looking for the still water on its own initiative, and it certainly does not restore its own soul by trying hard enough, by reading one more chapter, by finally getting disciplined about it. Every single action in this psalm, everyone, belongs to the shepherd. The sheep's only part, the only part required of you tonight, is to be the one being led, the one being made to lie down, the one whose soul is quietly, without any exertion from you at all, being restored while you simply listen. Shall not want is a wide promise, and it is worth letting it stretch as wide as it was meant to tonight, past the obvious needs of food and shelter and safety, and into this quieter, less obvious one, the need simply to stop to be still, to let someone else hold the reins for a while. That need is just as real as any other, and this psalm does not treat it as a lesser one. The shepherd who provides green pastures and still water is the same shepherd providing this exact hour of rest, and he considers it no smaller a gift than any of the others. You have spent so much of today doing, deciding, managing, holding things together for other people, being the steady one that others leaned on without ever asking whether you had anything left to lean on yourself. It is a heavy, ongoing thing to always be the one making the decisions, carrying the plan in your head even while you sleep. Tonight, you are allowed to stop fully without an asterisk. He maketh me to lie down. Not, I finally convince myself to lie down after a long negotiation with my own racing mind. He makes it happen gently, the way a good shepherd's steady hand and steady voice can settle even the most anxious animal simply by being near it without a single word of instruction. Still waters, not loud waters, not rapids, not anything you would have to brace yourself against or fight to stay upright in. Still, because a tired soul cannot drink from anything turbulent, cannot take in comfort from a source that is itself agitated. He leads you specifically, deliberately, to the exact kind of quiet you actually need right now, the kind you could not have found for yourself in the middle of a racing day, no matter how hard you searched for it. And he restoreth. That word means to bring something back, to return it to what it was before it was worn down, before it was spent past what it could give. Whatever tonight has taken out of you, whatever this season has slowly worn thin, he is already, at this very moment, at work putting it back, the way a careful hand mends something without announcing each stitch. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Even here, notice, the reason given is not your effort, your merit, or how well you have walked the path so far. For his name's sake, the leading continues because of who he is, not because of how well you have followed until now. If tonight you feel you have wandered, stumbled, or simply grown too tired to walk any path with much grace, this reason still holds. He is not leading you well tonight because you have earned careful guidance. He is leading you well because it is who he is, and that does not change based on how tired his sheep happen to be. Let the shepherd do the leading tonight, fully, without your usual habit of checking the map yourself, just to be sure. You do not have to be sure. You only have to follow, and even the following tonight is mostly just lying still and letting yourself be led into sleep. I shall not want. That opening line is not a boast about having everything you could wish for. It is a quiet confidence that whatever the shepherd decides is needed will actually arrive in its own time, in its own measure. Tonight, what is needed is rest, plainly and specifically, and the same confidence applies to that as to anything else this psalm has ever promised. You shall not want it. It is already being supplied, verse by verse, breath by breath. for as long as this reading continues and long after it ends. This is the center of tonight, so let it land slowly, without rushing past it the way you might rush past most things. What you thought was a failed prayer was never failed at all. Truly my soul waiteth upon God. From him cometh my salvation. He only is my rock and my salvation. He is my defense. I shall not be greatly moved. Truly my soul waiteth. Not truly my soul has composed the right words, arranged them in the proper order, found the appropriate tone of reverence and urgency in equal measure. Waiteth, that is the whole verb, the entire content of the prayer being described in this verse, and it is a verb every single one of us can manage, even on the nights we cannot manage anything else at all. You do not need vocabulary to wait. You do not need a clear head or an unbroken sentence or a heart that feels appropriately devoted. You only need to still be here, still turn toward him even faintly, even if all that turning amounted to tonight was a long breath let out slowly in a dark room with nobody watching. If you have carried a quiet fear that your faith has grown thin lately, that you do not pray the way you once did, that something important has slipped while you are simply trying to survive a hard season, let this verse answer that fear directly, rather than leaving it to echo in the dark. Waiting in silence upon God is not a diminished form of faith. The psalmist does not present it as a fallback for people who used to pray better and have now declined. He presents it as its own complete thing, sufficient in itself. Truly my soul waiteth, with nothing missing from it that needs to be added back in before it counts. This is the center of everything tonight, so hear it as plainly as it can be said. The prayer you believed you failed to finish earlier was not, in fact, unfinished. It was received exactly where it stopped, exactly as incomplete as it was, with nothing missing from it that mattered. A sigh you cannot turn into words is not a lesser prayer than a polished, well-constructed one. It may, in fact, be nearer the truth of your heart than any careful sentence could have been, because it comes from underneath the part of you that manages appearances, underneath the part that edits itself, even in prayer. He does not grade prayers on eloquence, and he never has. He was already listening, already leaning in, before the sigh even finished leaving your body. Think just for a moment of every prayer you have ever managed to finish properly, start to end, with clear words and a settled heart. Now think of every time you only managed a sigh instead, a half-formed thought, a single word repeated because it was all that was left. If you could see both piles laid out honestly before God, there is no reason to believe the second pile counts for less in His eyes than the first. He is not tallying eloquence. He is receiving hearts, in whatever condition they arrive, and a heart handed over as a sigh is still, fully, a heart handed over. From Him cometh my salvation, not from your effort tonight, not from finally managing to say it correctly, or feeling the right amount of faith while you said it. From Him entirely, start to finish. He only is my rock, not partly my rock, with the rest of the load resting on your own shoulders as a kind of co-payment. Only when you have nothing else steady left to hold onto tonight, not your own strength, not your own carefully chosen words, not even your own clear thinking. He is still, entirely, without exception, the one solid thing left standing under you. I shall not be greatly moved, even tired, even wordless, even completely spent. You are held tonight by something that does not move, that has never once moved, regardless of how unsteady you feel. He is my defense. That word carries the picture of a walled place, somewhere an exhausted traveler could finally stop looking over their shoulder, knowing the walls themselves were doing the watching now. You have maybe been your own defense for a long time, the one who stays alert so nothing catches you unprepared, the one who cannot quite let the guard down, even in a season built for rest. Tonight, let something else be the wall for a while. It is sturdier than you are, and it does not tire the way a person standing watch for years eventually tires. Say the thesis of this movement to yourself once more, because it is worth carrying with you through everything that follows tonight. The sigh was the prayer. It was received whole. Nothing else needs to be added to it, tonight or ever. He is my rock. A rock does not need to be convinced to hold its shape. It does not have moods about whether it will bear. Wait tonight or not, depending on how the day went. That steadiness is exactly what is being offered you right now. Something entirely unaffected by how scattered your own thoughts feel. Something that will hold the exact same weight whether you arrive at it calm or completely undone. You do not have to match its steadiness with any of your own. You only have to lean. He is my defense, spoken in the same breath as rock and salvation. Three different pictures for the same single reality, as though one image alone could not quite hold the whole of what is being promised. A rock for standing on, salvation for the deepest need, a defense for the ordinary, daily threats that wear a person down, long before any single catastrophe ever arrives. All three tonight are simply describing him from three different angles, so that whichever picture happens to land closest to what you actually need right now, it is already fully yours. Whatever precautions you have or have not managed to put in place for yourself this season, the steadiness tonight was never actually dependent on how well you built any of them. It was borrowed from somewhere far sturdier than your own careful planning ever could have been. I shall not be greatly moved. Notice it does not promise you will feel entirely unshaken, that nothing tonight will unsettle you at all. It promises you will not be greatly moved, not swept completely off the foundation, even while smaller waves still reach you. That is a more honest promise than a flawless calm would be, and it may be easier to actually believe on a night like this one. You are allowed to still feel some of the day's unsteadiness, even as you trust the deeper ground beneath it to hold. Both things can be true here at once. The lingering unsteadiness and the unmoved rock underneath it. From here, you do not have to keep pace with anyone, not even with the person you were this morning. You are being carried the rest of the way, and the carrying has already begun. He shall feed his flock like a shepherd. He shall gather the lambs with his arm, and carry them in his bosom, and shall gently lead those that are with young. Gather the lambs with his arm, not drive them forward with a raised voice, not call out instructions from a comfortable distance and expect them to find their own way through the dark on legs that are already trembling. Gather with his own arm the ones too small or too tired or too new to this journey to keep pace with the rest of the flock, and carry them in his bosom, which is the nearest, warmest place a shepherd has to offer, held close against his own chest, near enough to feel the steady rhythm of him breathing. A carried lamb sees very little of the road while it travels this way, mostly the shepherd's chest rising and falling, the world reduced for a while to just that steady, ordinary rhythm. There's a kind of rest hidden inside that reduction. You do not have to track the whole distance still ahead of you tonight. Calculate how much further this season has left to go. Watch for every obstacle on a road you cannot even see clearly right now. You only have to notice the breathing near you, close and steady, and let that be the whole of your attention for this movement. You may have spent a long time quietly believing that following God well means keeping up, matching some pace you imagine everyone else around you is managing without visible effort, while you alone seem to be falling behind. This verse was written specifically for the lambs who cannot keep up, and it does not scold them for falling behind, does not tell them to try harder, does not compare them unfavorably to the stronger sheep out front. It simply says, plainly, he gathers them. If tonight you are one of the tired ones, one of the ones who genuinely cannot walk under their own strength another single step, this is written directly to you by name, as surely as if your name were printed in the margin. You are not failing to keep pace. You are being carried instead, which was always, eventually, going to be true for every single one of us, sooner or later, whether we admitted it or not, and gently lead those that are with young. Even his leading, for the ones who need it most, is gentle, never a driving pace, never impatience at how slowly you are moving tonight compared to how you think you should be moving. He matches his step to yours, not the other way around. Whatever speed you have left in you tonight, even none at all, even simply lying still and breathing, is speed enough for him. It was never a test you were failing. Think for a moment about how a lamb actually behaves once it is finally gathered up into that carrying position, close against the shepherd's chest. It stops struggling. It stops trying to see the whole path ahead, stops testing whether it could still walk on its own after all. It simply goes limp in the good sense, fully given over to being carried, because struggling against a shepherd who already has you would only waste the rest the carrying was meant to provide in the first place. Let your own body do the same thing tonight, however it manages to. There's no version of this picture where the lamb is expected to help with the carrying, contributing some remaining strength of its own to make the work easier on the shepherd. The whole comfort of being carried is that nothing further is required from the one being carried. If some part of you is still quietly trying to assist, to hold yourself a little upright, to keep contributing some effort even while accepting this rest, that instinct can be set down along with everything else tonight. You are allowed to be fully, uselessly, safely limp in his arms. There is a kind of shame particular to feeling carried, a worry that being the one held rather than the one walking says something unflattering about you, some failure of independence you should have outgrown by now. Let that worry rest tonight, along with everything else. Every lamb in this picture gets carried eventually. It is not a mark against the flock. It is simply what shepherding a real, tiring journey actually looks like. For every single sheep that has ever walked it, without exception, including the strong ones on their harder days, you are not the only one who has ever needed this. You are simply the one it is true for tonight. It is worth naming gently that some of tonight's tiredness may not be new at all, but the slow accumulation of many nights like this one, stacked quietly on top of each other until the weight of them became its own separate burden, heavier than any single day could account for. If that is closer to the truth of your season than a single hard day would be, this movement's promise still reaches you exactly the same. The shepherd's arm does not measure how long you have needed carrying before deciding whether to gather you up. It simply gathers now, regardless of how long the walking has already gone on. He shall gently lead those that are with young. This particular phrase was written for the most vulnerable in the flock, the ones carrying new life within them, needing a pace slower than the rest could easily keep. If tonight's tiredness comes from carrying something fragile of your own, a new responsibility, a new grief still tender, a new season you have not yet found your footing in, this gentleness was written with exactly that vulnerability in mind. It does not ask the fragile ones to toughen up and match the pace of the stronger sheep. It slows the whole flock down instead. It is worth asking, honestly, whether you have ever extended this same gentleness to yourself, the kind this shepherd extends automatically to the ones who need a slower pace. Most of us are quicker to excuse someone else's exhaustion than our own, quicker to tell a friend to rest than to actually let ourselves do the same. Tonight, let the shepherd's gentleness toward the weak ones in the flock become the gentleness you finally offer your own tired self, without the usual internal argument about whether you have really earned it. He shall feed his flock like a shepherd. Feeding comes before the carrying in this verse, and it is worth noticing that order too. Before he ever gathers the tired lamb into his arms, he has already been feeding the whole flock, tending to the ordinary needs nobody thinks to thank a shepherd for. The carrying, when it comes, is simply the shepherd noticing that one particular lamb has run out before the rest and adjusting the care to match exactly as he is doing for you right now. There is a difference worth naming between a shepherd who carries a lamb out of duty because the job description requires it, and one who carries it because he is genuinely fond of the particular lamb in his arms. Nothing in this verse suggests duty alone. The gathering, the carrying, the gentle leading, all of it reads like the behavior of someone who likes the ones he is caring for, not merely someone discharging an obligation toward creatures he happens to be responsible for. Your emptiness tonight is not a problem waiting to be solved before grace can finally reach you. It is, and has always been, the exact place grace does its clearest work. And he said unto me, My grace is sufficient for thee, for my strength is made perfect in weakness. Most gladly therefore will I rather glory in my infirmities, that the power of Christ may rest upon me. My strength is made perfect in weakness. Read that slowly, because this is not simply a comforting word for the weak to hold on to, a consolation prize for people who could not manage strength on their own. It is a claim about where his strength actually chooses to go to work. Not despite your weakness tonight, off to the side of it, tolerating it, through it. Not around the tiredness, the thin patience, the prayer that would not form no matter how you tried, but precisely there, in that exact emptiness, is where his strength finds the room it needs to be made whole and complete. This changes what tonight's tiredness actually is, if you let it. It is not evidence that something has gone wrong with your faith, some sign that you are managing worse than a more devoted person would manage in your place. It is not proof that you should be handling this season better than you currently are. It is, strangely, exactly the shape his grace was designed from the beginning to fill. A person who felt entirely strong tonight would have less visible room for that grace to be noticeable, less contrast for it to show up against. You, worn down to almost nothing this evening, have all the room in the world. There is a particular kind of prayer that only ever gets prayed by people who have nothing left, the kind with no performance left in it, no careful phrasing, nothing but the plain fact of a person turning toward God because there is genuinely nowhere else left to turn. It is worth wondering gently whether that prayer, stripped down to almost nothing, might actually be closer to the kind he has always wanted from us than the polished, well-supplied version we usually manage to offer instead. Emptiness, may not be the obstacle to real prayer that it feels like tonight. It may be the very thing that finally clears enough room for a real one. So there's no need to apologize tonight for how little you have left. No need to explain yourself or justify why this season has cost you so much. My grace is sufficient. Not your strength, not your composure, not your ability to finish a thought. His grace, and it is enough, and it was always going to be enough, long before you grew this tired, and it will still be enough tomorrow morning, and the morning after that, for as long as you need it to be. Grace, in this verse, is not a one-time deposit made at the start of your life, and then slowly spent down over the years until it eventually runs low. It behaves more like a spring than a store, replenishing rather than depleting, so that a season which has drawn heavily on it does not leave less available for the next one. Whatever tonight has drawn out of you, the supply behind it was never the kind that runs thin from use. There was a specific, ordinary weakness behind this verse when it was first written, a real limitation the writer carried and had prayed 3 times to have removed without receiving the removal he had asked for. What he received instead was this word, and it is worth noticing that the answer to his prayer was not the fix he requested. It was a different kind of sufficiency altogether, one that did not require the weakness to disappear first. If tonight's tiredness is a weakness, you have prayed to have lifted more than once already, without yet seeing it lifted. This is not a sign your prayers went unheard. It may simply mean the answer is arriving in this same shape, sufficiency underneath the weakness rather than removal of it. Most gladly, therefore, will I rather glory in my infirmities. That is a strange thing to say gladly, and it is worth sitting with for a moment, rather than rushing past it as a nice turn of phrase. It is not pretending the weakness feels good. It is noticing, honestly, that the weakness became the exact place where something better than his own strength showed up, and that trade, on reflection, turned out to be worth making. You do not have to feel glad about how weary you are tonight for that same trade to be quietly happening in you right now, whether you can feel it yet or not, that the power of Christ may rest upon me. Rest again, that same word, arriving even in a verse about strength. His power does not hover anxiously over your weakness, waiting for you to fix it first. It rests there, settles. There, the way lamplight settles over a room without needing to be told where to go. If you have spent tonight quietly cataloguing everything you feel you should have handled better, this is the place in the reading to set that catalogue down. Infirmities is a wide word, wide enough to hold the failures alongside the ordinary limits of being human. And the verse does not ask you to sort one from the other before grace is allowed to apply. It applies to the whole of it, the mistakes and the mere tiredness both, without requiring you to separate them first. You may lie down now fully, without keeping one ear open, the way you usually do. Someone else has agreed to keep watch, and he does not grow tired the way you have. I will both lay me down in peace and sleep, for thou, Lord, only makest me dwell in safety. He will not suffer thy foot to be moved. He that keepeth thee will not slumber. Behold, he that keepeth Israel shall neither slumber nor sleep. These two verses were written to be read together tonight because they are one thought split naturally across two psalms, each one finishing what the other began. I will lay me down in peace and sleep. Why would peace be possible at all in the middle of an unfinished, uncertain life? He that keepeth thee will not slumber. You are permitted to sleep tonight for the simplest reason there is, the only reason that actually holds up under the weight of a hard season, that someone else is staying fully awake so that you finally do not have to. Think for a moment about everything you have tried to stay awake for over the years, worrying that if you finally rested completely, something would slip through unnoticed. Something would go wrong precisely while you were not watching closely enough. That fear is real, and it has likely cost you more rest over the years than you could count if you tried. And tonight, you are told plainly, in words older than anything you are currently afraid of, that the watching was never actually your job to carry. He neither slumbers nor sleeps, not once, not for a single hour in all of history has he ever failed to keep watch over the ones he loves. Your own staying awake never once added anything to his faithfulness. It only ever cost you rest you were always freely allowed to take instead. I will both lay me down in peace and sleep. Notice the peace is named first before the sleep, as though the sleep were almost a byproduct of the peace rather than the main event. That is worth remembering on nights when sleep itself feels hard to reach directly. You are not required to chase sleep tonight as the goal. You are only asked to let the peace settle first, the way it is described here, and let whatever sleep follows arrive on its own, in its own time, as peace's natural companion rather than something to be pursued separately. So lay it down tonight. Not because the watching is finished. It is not. It never stops. Not for a single moment, but because it was never yours to do in the first place, and pretending otherwise only ever wore you out for nothing. For thou, Lord, only makest me dwell in safety. Only, not you, plus a good lock on the door, plus a long list of precautions rehearsed one more time before sleep. Only all the ordinary, sensible precautions of your life can stay exactly where they are, unremarked upon, while the actual safety underneath all of them tonight is a person, not a system. Someone who was keeping watch over you decades before you learned to worry, and who will keep watch tonight, whether your body sleeps lightly or deeply. Behold, he that keepeth Israel shall neither slumber nor sleep. Behold is an unusual word to find in the middle of a psalm about rest, almost an interruption, as if the writer wanted to physically stop you and make sure this particular line landed before moving on. It is worth letting it do exactly that tonight. Stop here for a moment. Not 1 hour of your life, not one night you have ever spent afraid of what the dark might hold, has ever actually gone unwatched. Every single one had this same tireless keeping underneath it, whether you believed it at the time or not. Let the watching be entirely his tonight, not partly yours, kept half alert out of habit. Entirely his, the whole shift, start to finish, so that your sleep can be the deep, uninterrupted kind rather than the thin, listening kind you may have grown used to. Only makest me dwell in safety. Dwell is a settled word, the word for a home rather than a temporary shelter, suggesting something more permanent than a single lucky night of feeling protected. This safety was never meant to be a rare exception you happen to land in occasionally. It is the actual ground you have been standing on the whole time, whether or not it always felt that steady beneath your feet. He will not suffer thy foot to be moved. There is something almost physical in that promise, the image of a foot finding solid ground exactly when it needed to, not because you tested the ground carefully first, but because he had already made sure it would hold. You may not be able to point to the specific moments this has already been true in your life, the near misses you never even knew about, the ground that held when it easily could not have. That is precisely how well this kind of keeping is done. It rarely announces itself. It is simply quietly always there. He that keepeth thee, singular, personal, aimed directly at you, rather than at some general population of the faithful. It would be one thing for this verse to promise that God watches over believers as a broad category, a kind of policy applied evenly to a crowd. It says something more particular than that. Thee, the one listening right now, in this exact room, at this exact hour, tired, in this exact specific way. The keeping was never abstract. It has always had your name attached to it, even on the nights you felt most anonymous in your exhaustion. There is a particular gentleness in being spoken to by name, in the middle of your own tiredness, and simply told to come home. Return unto thy rest, O my soul, for the Lord hath dealt bountifully with thee. Return unto thy rest, O my soul. Say it slowly to yourself, the way the psalmist first must have said it quietly to his own tired heart, in a voice meant only for himself to hear. It is not a command shouted at a distance by someone impatient with you. It is an invitation spoken close, by name, to the one part of you that has wandered farthest from rest tonight, out into tomorrow's worries, back into today's small regrets, circling the same 3 concerns for the 100th time, and is simply, gently, being called home. O my soul, there's such tenderness in that particular address, a father's tenderness, really, or a mother's. Not get yourself together already, not you should have rested hours ago, what is wrong with you? Only return, because rest is where you actually belong, where you were always meant to end up, and you have simply strayed from it. the way anyone tired and anxious strays in small circles without ever really meaning to wander that far from home. If your particular tiredness has come from caring for someone else, watching over a spouse or a parent or a child through a long, difficult stretch, hear this verse with that specifically in mind for a moment. The soul that gets invited to return to rest tonight is your own, not only theirs. It is easy, in the middle of caring well for someone, to quietly assume your own rest can wait indefinitely while theirs cannot. This verse does not ask you to choose. It simply calls your own soul home too, tonight, alongside everyone else you have been carrying. Notice that the psalmist is speaking to his own soul here, not being spoken to by someone else. This is a person learning out loud to comfort the very part of himself that will not settle, gently instructing his own anxious heart the way you might instruct a child who cannot stop circling the same worry. You are allowed to do the same thing tonight, speaking these same words to your own tired soul in whatever voice comes naturally, however quiet, however unpracticed it feels the first time you try it. Return unto thy rest, O my soul. Return unto thy rest, O my soul. Let it be said again, slowly, and then once more after that, until the words stop sounding like an instruction you are failing to follow and start sounding like exactly what they actually are. A standing invitation you are always free to simply accept tonight without further qualification. These same words has been spoken in one form or another by tired people for a very long time, longer than any single hardship you are carrying tonight. That is not meant to make your particular weariness feel small or unoriginal. It is meant to remind you that you are not the first to need this exact permission, and the words have held up every time across every generation that has ever needed to borrow them at the end of a hard day. For the Lord hath dealt bountifully with thee, not sparingly, not just enough to get by on, bountifully, generously, more than the situation strictly required, the way a host sets more food on the table than any one guest could finish, simply because generosity is the nature of the one hosting. Whatever this season has cost you, it has not emptied his bounty towards you, not even slightly, and there is no ledger being kept where you are running a deficit with him. It helps sometimes to say plainly what bountifully is standing against tonight. It is standing against the quiet fear that you have used up your share of grace already, spent whatever goodwill was allotted to you on earlier troubles, and must now make do with less. Bountifully rules that fear out entirely. There's no smaller portion waiting for you because an earlier season used up too much. The supply was never rationed to begin with, and it is not running low tonight, however low you yourself are running. Dealt bountifully with thee, past tense, already accomplished, not a hope for the future, but a report on something already finished. Whatever tonight still feels unresolved, this one piece of the ledger is not still pending. The bounty already happened, already reached you. in 1,000 small forms you may never fully tally, and it is simply waiting for you to stop auditing it long enough to notice it was real. Come home now, soul. Come all the way home, not part way, not just enough to doze lightly while still half listening for something to go wrong. All the way home, into rest that does not check the time, into sleep that does not keep one hand on the door. Return unto thy rest. Notice, this is not return unto your productivity, or return unto having everything figured out first. Rest, specifically, is the destination named. If some part of you still feels it needs permission to stop before it has resolved every open question in your life, let this verse be that permission, spoken as many times tonight as you need to actually believe it. You are allowed to rest before the questions are answered. You are always allowed to. There's a kindness too in how small and unadorned this verse actually is. It does not build an elaborate case for why you should rest, does not stack argument on argument the way an anxious mind might need to be convinced. It simply says the thing plainly, twice, and trusts that plainness to be enough. You do not need an elaborate case built for you tonight either. The plain, repeated invitation is already sufficient. O my soul, spoken twice more in the original song this verse comes from, is a kind of gentle refrain running underneath a whole psalm of remembering, each repetition talking the same tired heart a little further toward rest than the last. You do not need new words to keep doing this once the reading ends. The same three, return unto thy rest, will still be true tomorrow night, and the night after that, and any night this season asks you to say them again. They do not wear out with repeating. If anything, they settle in deeper each time, the way a path through grass grows softer and more familiar the more often it is walked. Tomorrow is not yours to hold tonight, not even a small corner of it. Set it down at the door and leave it there until morning finds it on its own. Take therefore no thought for the morrow shall take thought for the things of itself. Sufficient unto the day is the evil thereof. Take no thought for the morrow. This is not permission to be careless with your life, and it was never meant to be heard that way. It is permission, specific and dated for tonight, to stop carrying a day that has not even arrived yet, a day with its own weather and its own conversations and its own difficulties that have not happened and may never happen the way you are currently imagining them. Whatever tomorrow will actually require of you, it will bring its own strength along with it when it finally comes. You do not need to borrow against that strength now, lying awake at midnight, trying to solve a problem that does not exist yet, in a day that has not started. Sufficient unto the day is the evil thereof, meaning plainly that each day already carries enough of its own weight without help from any other day. You are never meant to carry 2 days at once, today's and tomorrow's, both stacked on the same tired shoulders. And yet, that is exactly what a tired mind tries to do at midnight, reaching forward into hours that have not begun and attempting to manage them in advance as though advance managing were even possible. Let tomorrow stay exactly where it is, on the far side of this sleep, completely untouched by you until it actually finally arrives on its own schedule. If tomorrow happens to bring one of the genuinely hard things, a difficult conversation, a hard diagnosis, a decision with real weight to it, none of tonight's rest is meant to pretend that away or minimize it in advance. It is only meant to postpone the carrying of it until the hour it is actually due. A hard tomorrow met by a rested person tends to go better than the same hard tomorrow met by someone who spent the whole night before rehearsing it uselessly in the dark. This is not a promise that tomorrow will be easy, and it is worth being honest about that rather than pretending otherwise. Some tomorrows genuinely are hard, carrying real difficulty that no amount of positive thinking will soften in advance. What is being promised instead is simpler and, in its own way, sturdier, that the strength for that hard day will arrive exactly when the day does, not a moment before it is needed, and not left for you to manufacture alone at midnight tonight, while lying in the dark trying to get a head start on grace that has not been issued yet. Whatever it is, whatever is waiting for you out there tomorrow, it can wait until morning. It has already agreed to wait, whether it knows it or not. Let it wait. There's a particular relief available to anyone willing to genuinely believe this tonight, rather than simply agree with it as a nice idea while still quietly rehearsing tomorrow underneath. The relief is not in solving tomorrow faster. It is in noticing that solving it was never actually required of you tonight at all, that the entire category of tomorrow's problems can wait outside the room you are lying in right now, patient, unoffended, exactly where you left them. There is a specific comfort in knowing this instruction was given by someone who was himself fully acquainted with real difficulty, real hunger, real uncertainty about where the next provision would come from. This was not advice offered from a place untouched by hardship, easy to give and hard to receive. It came from someone who had walked through genuine want and still chose to say, "Do not carry tomorrow's portion of it tonight." If he could say that honestly, having lived it, it is worth trusting the words a little more than you might trust the same advice from someone who had never been tired themselves. For the morrow shall take thought for the things of itself. There's almost a kindness hidden in that sentence, the sense that tomorrow is being described as a day fully capable of handling its own business, arriving with its own resources, rather than expecting you to have pre-solved everything for it while lying in the dark tonight. You do not owe tomorrow anything right now except the courtesy of letting it wait until it actually gets here. If part of what keeps you up is not one clear worry, but a whole loose tangle of smaller ones, none individually large enough to solve tonight, but all of them buzzing at once. You do not need to untangle each thread before you are allowed to rest. You are only asked to set the whole tangle down. Together, unsorted, the way you might finally put down a heavy basket without first arranging everything inside it. Tomorrow, with daylight and a clearer head, will be a far better time to sort through it, thread by thread, than tonight, in the dark, with nothing left new to sort with. Let this be the last thought before the movement closes. Whatever tomorrow needs from you, it will ask for it then, not now. Now is only for sleep. Sufficient unto the day is the evil thereof. There is an honesty in this verse that is easy to miss. It does not promise that tomorrow will be free of difficulty. It simply promises that tomorrow's difficulty, whatever shape it takes, will be sized correctly for tomorrow, not stacked on top of tonight's tiredness in advance. You are not being asked to pretend hard things are not coming. You are only being asked to let them arrive on their own schedule, one day at a time, the way they were always going to have to be carried anyway. Only one thing is left to say tonight, and it may be the gentlest sentence in all of Scripture. The Lord thy God in the midst of thee is mighty. He will save. He will rejoice over thee with joy. He will rest in his love. He will joy over thee with singing. He will rest in his love. Notice, even here, at the very end of this whole long reading, it is his rest being described, not a demand for yours to be perfect first, and he will joy over thee with singing, not a hymn sung to instruct you in something you got wrong, not a correction set to melody, a song sung simply because he delights in you, the way a parent hums without even thinking about it over a child who has finally gone quiet and still after a long, hard day that wore them both out in different ways. He will rejoice over thee with joy. Say that slowly too, the way you said the earlier lines, because it is easy for tired ears to skip past a promise this plain and assume it must be describing someone else, some more deserving version of a believer than the one currently lying here, too worn out to feel much of anything. It is not describing someone else. It is describing this exact moment over you, exactly as tired and as wordless as you are tonight, with no more qualifying required than there has ever been. You do not have to strain to hear the song for it to be true. You do not have to feel anything in particular tonight for any of this to be actually happening right now, whether you sense it or not. Somewhere beyond what your tired ears can pick up, he is resting in his love for you this very minute, and he is singing, and none of it, not one note of it, depends on whether you managed to pray the right words earlier or found the strength to finish a single complete sentence to him at any point today. He was never waiting on your performance to begin the song. He was only ever waiting for the chance to sing over the one he already fully loves. The Lord thy God not a distant force, and not a vague comfort borrowed from somewhere else, but the specific God of a specific, tired people who had just come through their own long, difficult season and needed, more than anything else that day, simply to be told the watching over them had not stopped. It has not stopped over you either, tonight, in whatever exhausting season this has been for you. The same specific, personal watching, the same specific, personal delight rests over you right now, in this room, at this hour, exactly as surely as it ever rested over anyone this book has recorded resting under it before. He will save. That word sits quietly in the middle of the verse, easy to skip past on the way to the gentler singing that follows it, but it is worth pausing on for just a moment. Whatever tonight's tiredness is guarding against, whatever fear rides underneath the exhaustion, the saving was never in question. It is already settled, already accomplished, long before tonight, long before this particular weariness arrived. The singing that follows is not nervous singing, hoping things turn out well. It is the singing of someone completely certain how the story ends. He is mighty in the midst of thee, not far off, mighty somewhere else, someone you might reach if you prayed hard enough to get his attention across a great distance. In the midst of thee, as close as the room you are lying in right now, as close as the breath you are taking as you listen to this. There was never a distance to close tonight. There was only a presence too. Finally notice and rest in, and let's sing you the rest of the way to sleep. You never did find the words tonight, and it did not matter. It has never once mattered. Everything you could not say has already been heard. Not the prayer you would have prayed if there had been anything left in you. The real one, the one that was only a breath let out in a dark room, and it reached him whole. The rest of this night does not require you, not one part of it. The day was carried before you ever set it down. The watch is being kept without you, and the singing over you does not stop when you stop listening for it. If another night comes when you have nothing to say either, this whole reading waits for you on Spotify. It is in no hurry, so let your hands go loose in the dark. There is no last thing to get right. You were never the one holding this. Sleep now, beloved. Amen.